What if everything you think you know about spirituality is incomplete? What if the most powerful spiritual teachings weren't lost, but hidden? Not in dark vaults or secret caves, but in plain sight. Woven into ancient texts, buried beneath symbolism, diluted into self-help slogans that sound profound but mean almost nothing. Hermetism isn't just another mystical system. It is the blueprint, a code for understanding reality itself. The Kybalion, the Emerald Tablets, the lost teachings of Hermes Trismegistus. These ancient writings don't offer feel-good mantras, they contain the real secrets, the kind that once understood tear down illusions and unlock true spiritual power. So why don't you know about it? Because the moment you grasp Hermetic wisdom, you become impossible to control. This knowledge predates recorded history. It didn't begin with New Age influencers or secret societies. It goes all the way back to ancient Egypt, to sacred temples where initiates studied forces so powerful they had to be veiled in allegory. Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great, wasn't one man, but a lineage. A title for those who carried and protected universal truths. His teachings blended Egyptian, Greek, and esoteric philosophies into a system so powerful it had to be hidden from the masses. Why? Because those who understood it could shape reality. The Emerald Tablets are said to hold the secrets of creation, transformation, and divine mastery. The Kybalion, written centuries later, distilled these teachings into 7 Hermetic principles that govern everything, from your thoughts to the movement of galaxies. These principles were never meant for everyone, not because they were exclusive, but because they were dangerous to those in power. Rulers and religious institutions didn't want people who could shape their own fate. They wanted obedience. So they buried the teachings, burned the texts, branded the students as heretics or madmen. The Catholic Church declared Hermetic teachings heretical. Hermetic schools were shut down. Texts were hidden or destroyed. Alchemists, mystics, and seekers who studied these laws were forced into silence. Still, Hermetism survived. It was encoded into the Kabbalah. It echoed through Sufism. It hid within early Christian mysticism. Great minds like Newton, Da Vinci, and Bruno didn't just study science and art. They studied this. Now, for the first time in centuries, the knowledge is resurfacing. The pieces are coming together. The veil is lifting. But here's what they don't want you to know. Some truths are too powerful to share openly. That's why we created Insights Academy, a private newsletter where we share the deeper layers of Hermetic knowledge, the parts too controversial for public platforms. Join now, and you'll receive a free digital copy of the Kybalion to begin your own journey. Because once you understand what the Hermetic masters knew, your perception of reality will never be the same. You'll see through the illusions, past the distractions, into the structure of existence itself. And the only question left is this: what will you do with that power? What if I told you that the universe isn't random chaos, it's a coded system, and someone, long ago, left behind the master key? That key is known as the 7 Hermetic principles. They're not theories, they're not beliefs. They are laws, immutable, inescapable, operating in your life, whether you know it or not. And once you understand them, not just intellectually, but experientially, everything changes. Let's begin. 1. The principle of mentalism. The all is mind. The universe is mental. This isn't metaphor, it's the source code. Reality, at its core, is not made of atoms, it's made of thought. The universe itself is a mental projection. And if that's true, your mind isn't just receiving reality, it's projecting it, constantly. This is the core reason why ancient mystics, quantum physicists, and awakened individuals all say the same thing. Change your thoughts. Change your world. This law alone puts the power back where it belongs, in you. 2. The principle of correspondence. As above, so below. As within, so without. Everything is a mirror. The microcosm and macrocosm are reflections of one another. Your internal state isn't separate from your external world. It's a blueprint. This is why nothing truly changes on the outside until something shifts inside. That's not just poetic philosophy. That's Hermetic law. You want to change your relationships, your success, your health? Start with what's happening in here, in the inner world. That's where the transformation begins. 3. The principle of vibration. Nothing rests. Everything moves, everything vibrates. Science caught up to this principle centuries after Hermes taught it. Even solid matter isn't truly solid. It's vibrating energy. Every thought, every emotion, every word, it has a frequency. Low frequencies, fear, anger, despair, trap you. High frequencies, love, clarity, purpose, set you free. Your vibe isn't just some new age slogan, it's your frequency signature, and it determines what you attract. 4. The principle of polarity. Everything is dual. Everything has poles, love and hate, light and dark, creation and destruction. But here's the real power in this law. Opposites are the same thing, just at different degrees. That means hate can become love. Weakness can become strength. Chaos can become clarity. You don't need to destroy one side, you transmute it. This is alchemy, the real kind. The ability to shift your polarity is the ability to transform anything in your life. 5. The principle of rhythm. Everything flows in and out. Everything has tides. Nature flows in seasons. Planets orbit. Your life has cycles. But most people don't understand this, so they resist it. When things go down, they panic. When things rise, they get reckless. But the Hermetic master rides the wave. When energy contracts, they prepare. When it expands, they strike. Understanding rhythm makes you immune to chaos. You no longer fear the lows, you use them. 6. The principle of cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. This one shatters the illusion of randomness. Nothing happens by accident. Every emotion, every coincidence, every moment of luck or misfortune has a root, a cause. When you understand this, you stop blaming, you stop waiting, you start creating, and those who master cause become the cause. 7. The principle of gender. Everything has masculine and feminine principles, not physical gender, energetic polarity. The masculine, direction, logic, action. The feminine, intuition, creation, receptivity. Every act of manifestation requires both thought and feeling, structure and flow, will and surrender. You are both, and the more you balance them, the more aligned you become with your true creative power. These 7 principles aren't just teachings, they're a system, a spiritual operating system, and they were hidden, not because they were false, but because they were too powerful. The moment people live by these laws, they become uncontrollable. But here's the twist. You've always known them. Your intuition recognizes the truth when you hear it. That's why something in you is awake right now. And the deeper secrets? They're too powerful to share here. That's why we created Insights Academy, a private space where we go beyond the surface and into the forgotten layers of Hermetic mastery. Join us now through the link below and get your free copy of the Kybalion, a text that was never meant to be mainstream. Because when you understand this, you stop being a follower of reality and start becoming its architect. If the Hermetic principles are so powerful, why hasn't the world heard of them? Why don't schools teach them? Why don't religions embrace them? The answer is simple. Because once you understand Hermetic wisdom, you become uncontrollable. Let's be clear, this isn't conspiracy theory. This is history they don't want you to remember. The original knowledge was never meant for the masses. Hermeticism began in the sacred temples of ancient Egypt, long before the rise of modern civilization. It was a science of the soul, a technology of consciousness, a system for mastering reality. But the high priests knew something. This knowledge could build or destroy worlds. So they hid it in symbols, myth, allegory. They encoded it into the emerald tablets and what would later be called the Kybalion, texts only the initiated could decode. And when it was passed to the Greeks, it took on a new form, Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice great. Not a person, a title, a lineage, a frequency of wisdom that echoed across time. So what happened? As civilizations rose, so did the desire to control. And Hermetic wisdom? It was a threat. It taught that divinity was within, that you didn't need a priest, a king, or a savior to access truth. That consciousness shapes reality. This was the opposite of what ruling systems wanted. So they did what any empire would do, burned the knowledge. The Library of Alexandria, gone, branded it heresy. Gnostic Christians, erased. Alchemists, tortured. Mystics, silenced, locked it away. The Hermetic texts were hidden, studied only by secret orders and elite scholars. Even during the Renaissance, when Hermetic thought re-emerged, it remained confined to whispers, coded in artwork, encrypted in allegory, sealed behind closed doors. And it didn't stop there. In modern times, the suppression just changed form. Materialism became the new dogma. The universe was rebranded as cold, dead matter. Consciousness? An accident? Spirit? A myth? They took Hermetic principles, like energy, vibration, rhythm, and stripped them of their deeper meaning. What was once the science of spiritual sovereignty became superstition in the public eye, and yet the elites kept studying it. Isaac Newton, an alchemist, Da Vinci, a symbolist, Tesla, obsessed with frequency and vibration. They knew, but they also knew to keep quiet. Why? Because it breaks the spell. The moment you realize the universe is mental, you reclaim your power. The moment you understand vibration, you shift your frequency. The moment you apply cause and effect, you stop blaming and start creating. And that is what the system fears. Not rebellion, not resistance, awakening. Because awakened people don't obey blindly. They don't consume endlessly. They don't accept narratives without question. They think, they feel, they create. And in a world designed to keep you asleep, awakening is the most radical act of all. So what can you do? Reclaim what was always yours. Not a belief system, but a blueprint. Not a religion, but a reality map. The Hermetic teachings were never about worship. They were about wisdom. Wisdom that says, you are not broken, you are not powerless, you are not at the mercy of fate, you are a creator. And the code of creation has been here all along. The only question is, what will you do with it? Understanding Hermetic wisdom is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning, because knowledge without action is just another illusion. Real transformation doesn't come from what you know, it comes from who you become. And becoming begins now. You are the cause. This is where it all starts. You are not the result of life. You are the cause of life. Your thoughts, your emotions, your patterns, these are not reactions to the world around you. They shape the world around you. Mentalism isn't just a concept. It's a call to arms, a reminder that your inner state is the blueprint for your outer world. If your life feels chaotic, uncertain, unfulfilled, it is because your mind is out of alignment. But that also means you can bring it back into order. Shift your focus, shift your story, shift yourself. Live by law, not by accident. Most people drift through life reacting. They ride the waves of other people's decisions, other people's beliefs, other people's energy. But Hermeticism teaches you something radical. You can choose the current. With vibration, you choose your frequency. Are you vibrating with fear or with clarity? With polarity, you choose your state. Are you stuck in pain or alchemizing it into power? With rhythm, you ride the waves instead of fighting them. Life flows, not in straight lines, but in cycles. And those who master the tide move further with less resistance. With cause and effect, you stop blaming and start building. Your future is not random, it's engineered by your decisions. With gender, you balance creation. Thought becomes form only when action and intuition work together. You're not just applying rules, you're becoming a new archetype, a conscious creator, a force of nature, a human being in tune with cosmic law. Discipline is your gateway to power. This is not a feel-good fantasy. It's not about waiting for the universe to bless you because you made a vision board. Real mastery requires real discipline. Train your mind. Meditate every day, not to escape, but to sharpen. Visualize not to daydream, but to program your subconscious with precision. Guard your energy. Choose your words carefully. Speak only what aligns with the world you want to create. Live intentionally. From the foods you eat to the thoughts you allow, everything is frequency. Treat your vibration as sacred. Transmute everything. Don't run from fear. Convert it into focus. Don't avoid pain. Refine it into wisdom. The difference between suffering and growth is how you use your energy. The world will test. You don't expect applause. When you begin to awaken, you'll see what others can't. You'll feel the pull of old habits, old beliefs, old limitations. People will say you've changed. That's the point. The system will push back, because systems don't like creators. But if you persist, something will shift. You'll stop reacting. You'll start designing. And soon, the world that once controlled you will bend in response to your intention. Because frequency dictates form. Because consciousness drives creation. Because you are the architect. This is what they feared. It was never about keeping you safe. It was about keeping you small. Because a sovereign mind can't be manipulated. A focused mind can't be distracted. And a free mind can't be owned. This is why Hermetic wisdom was hidden. Not because it was dangerous, but because you become dangerous the moment you use it. Not to harm, but to heal, to build, to see through the illusion, and to create something real. The path is yours. Now you've seen the patterns, you've heard the truths. Now you have a choice. Will you return to sleep, or will you rise into mastery? The Hermetic path doesn't promise comfort. It promises clarity. It doesn't give you guarantees. It gives you laws. It doesn't offer salvation. It offers sovereignty. But once you choose it, truly choose it, Everything begins to change. Not because the world changes, but because you do. You stop chasing. You start radiating. You stop asking for permission. You start creating the rules. This is what it means to awaken. This is what it means to remember. And this is what it means to return to your power.